So how do you make a bloodthirsty monster, someone that's come back to Dragon Ball more times than the fans would want, a character that you can understand and empathize with? Well, it seems like Dragon Ball Unguarded solution is to make him a cute little baby with a abusive and tragic childhood.
Know your place, worm. Prepare yourself. Damn Saiyan.
I know the majority of us have gotten burned out on Frieza because of how many times he's come back to Dragon Ball. But I gotta say, if you like the character a little bit or would like to know a little bit more about his past and have a story that tells you how he came to be the person that he is, well, read Dragon Ball Unguarded. And as always, I'm gonna have the link in the description below. Go ahead and check it out. The story begins with having Frieza destroy planet Vegeta, and it seems like King Cold is the one narrating what Frieza would ultimately become. We cut to Frieza's birth, and we get to see our first image of a female Frost Demon, or a Kojin as they're called in this manga. And I gotta say, the writing in this manga is superb. The dynamic between Frieza's mother, King Cold, and even the writing between Frieza and Cooler, it's so dynamic. It feels like an actual family in the setting that it is. Frieza's mother wants to keep her son sheltered. She thinks that King Cold already took Cooler and crafted him into this bloodthirsty monster and pulled him away from her. So when Frieza is born, she wants to protect him and baby him and nurture him as long as she can. King Cold even comments on this by saying that she could have had all this being done by the employees that work there and the medical robots, the incubators, all that stuff. And she said no, she wanted to do this natural. She wanted to have that bond and that connection with Frieza, which she ultimately does gain. Frieza's writing in this is fantastic. As a little baby, he's just adorable. And if you have a kid of your own and you watch them grow up since they were very small, Frieza kind of feels in that same vein. They've done a great job fleshing him out as a little kid. He acts like a little kid, he talks like a little kid, and he's very lovable. And he also still has that same Frieza flair. So you know there is something still there of Frieza of today in his DNA, but the events throughout this story are what shape him to be the bloodthirsty killer that he ends up being. King Cold wants to pass down his family's empire to Cooler and Frieza so they can split it up and control. One controls the government, one controls the military. And his wife does not want Frieza to be a part of this. But ultimately, this is a story very similar to the one of Endeavor from My Hero and of essentially spousal abuse, which I'm assuming that as the chapters go on is gonna have a dark turn. In this video, I'm only covering the first 2 chapters, and I will have the next 2 chapters covered for tomorrow. At the same time that King Cold is looking for his empire to be left in good hands, he's also looking for an elite warrior unit that he can send to planets and have one man take out thousands. And he realizes that he doesn't have that kind of manpower in his army. He doesn't have men that are extremely powerful like him or his family as of yet. And that's when we cut to Cooler, who is watching this Saiyan in action, and he puts his most elite warriors to face off against this creature. Now, their only drawback, he says, is that they need a full moon to become even more powerful. Besides not having the full moon, they aren't really that strong. And that's when we get the scene where this Saiyan ends up looking at the full moon, transforming into Ozaru, and we get a really funny panel where he kind of just looks at these warriors and blasts them into oblivion. Now, when King Cold wants to take Frieza and train him in the same vein that he's been training Cooler, of course his mother protests, and they have a back and forth that seems a little bit too real for it to be just a fan-made manga. But unfortunately, these scenes are heavy with abuse, and if you're squeamish to that sort of thing, I'm giving you your warning here. So King Cold ends up taking Frieza and dropping him off on this planet. He wants him to talk to these people because they have resources on this planet that he needs. So Frieza goes and tries to talk to these creatures, but these creatures don't want to talk and they're resistant and immune to ki blasts. So Frieza ends up trying to fight for his life against all these creatures who are pummeling him, and King Cold is just watching. If his son cannot make it through this, he doesn't even want to see him anymore. And ultimately Frieza does feel cornered, and he ends up blowing up the planet in the same way that he blew up planet Earth in Resurrection of F, by touching the ground and making it blow up. Once the planet is destroyed, they pick him up. He's kind of in critical condition, but he still survived. At the very end of chapter 2, we cut to King Cold, and he's found out that there is a planned departure from the planet. It was done in secret, and it is a ship reserved for 2 passengers. And at this point, I'm thinking that Frieza's mother is trying to run off with Frieza and leave the planet, leave her abusive husband, and leave this family behind. And unfortunately, I think that in the next chapter, this is just me speculating, that we're going to be seeing the last of Frieza's mother when King Cold finally confronts her. So that's going to be very sad, but we're going to see where this Dragon Ball fan manga goes. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of Frieza's origin story. Did you like it? What'd you think of it? And I know we're a little bit exhausted of Frieza, but I like this. I think it was something that made Frieza a little bit more human to me, even though he is an Arcosian / Frost Demon. Anyway guys, this is Blackscape, signing off.